Alrighty, we're here in my room. Slightly different setup. Dog has just started barking right when I started the podcast. This shit makes me so infuriated. She does not stop all day. I'm gonna go ahead and put my headphones on. It's not even like a bark that I can deal with. It's a high pitched bark. It's at nothing. It's sometimes it's a dog, but at the end of the day, it's over nothing. Welcome, guys. Episode 150 of the show with me, Michael Labs. I feel like I need some catchphrases. I was making this sweatshirt that says "I don't know" on it. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it, but I think it's kind of catchy. It looks cool. It's got a cool little logo design on it. But if you guys are watching on YouTube, there's a slight change of pace. As you can see, I did go ahead and, like I said last couple podcast episodes ago, what I was going to do is move the camera closer to my face in order to make it a closer picture frame. But then I realized it's 2020, and what you can do with Sony cameras and what you can do with good cameras is you can actually just zoom in. So I went ahead and I used my brain, the little bit of brain that I do have left, and I just zoomed in with my camera. And now I'm a lot closer to you guys. Hopefully this makes the experience a little bit more enriching. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. I'm just messing around with it. But how was your weekend? It's a good weekend. This past weekend was it was nice. I ate a lot of food. I definitely did not go carnivore this weekend. People ask me, how is the carnivore diet going? And my answer is always, it's going super well. My next question would be, do you recommend it? I absolutely do recommend it if you are somebody who's looking to lose weight. And you're, more importantly, I think more than anything of weight, it is a diet that you should go on for overall health, internal health. There's a lot of good health benefits with this diet, more than anything. I could just look up just a few right here instead of just losing weight. But at the end of the day, losing weight is, I think, by far the most important thing you can do. If you're somebody's overweight, you have to lose weight. I don't care what world you live in. If you think that whatever your body is beautiful and whatever you think makes you you, I think it's all BS when it comes to weight loss or when it comes to obesity, because obesity it does nothing good for your body, right? There's nothing good about being fat. It doesn't it sounds really harsh, but it's not good for your health. It's not good for your future. It's not good for your emotional state. It's not good for your mental health. It's obviously not good for your physical health. It's not good for the economy. I know that sounds really dark, but it's true. I also think it's not good for like life insurance and stuff like that. I think you get like a much lower rate on your life. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an insurance specialist. I do know in college there's certain degrees for insurance policies. Like there's certain people who go to college to learn how to, I guess, to calculate life insurance policies. I'm like, holy crap, that's pretty dark, man. That's pretty dark, putting a price tag on someone's life. But it's not good being fat. It's not. And there's a lot of movements where they try to make people feel confident of being fat, and I think I don't even know if fat's even allowed to be said anymore. Overweight, obese, chunked up, whatever it is, thick. I hear people say all the time, but it's not good. You need to lose weight. You need to get control of that. It teaches discipline. It teaches a lot of healthy habits, and I truly believe that it doesn't, there's no pros of being extremely overweight, but just some of the health benefits of carnivore diet. And this is just from onit.com. So this is, I just googled random carnivore diet benefits. Food list: meat, whole eggs, whatever, condiments, no condiments, supplements, no supplements. So just one benefit, that's obviously the first one, is weight loss. You lose weight, you don't get insulin spikes, so your body has no reason to store incoming calories as body fat. Two, better heart health, which is, you can go deep into a lot of studies about that. When you first tell people that it's actually good for your heart, there's a lot of pushback. I would never debate with somebody because I'm not a scientist, so I would never try. All I do, all I do is irresponsibly make blanket statements saying it's good for your heart, and then people say, "Well, what about cholesterol?" And I say, "Well, cholesterol is actually not as bad as people say it is, and it's also one of those things that gets thrown around and not understood enough at all." Trying to light my candle. Um, so yeah, it's good. It's good for your heart. uh, Another one, lower inflammation in your body. There's a lot of science backing the idea that inflammation, more than anything, people used to think inflammation increased the risk of injury. It happened from injury, but more than anything, which people are with scientists are slowly starting to discover as the days go on and as these studies come to a close and as these studies unravel, is that inflammation is, especially gut inflammation, is one of the driving causes of mental health uh, issues, having mental health problems. And it's really hard for people to make that connection that something that happens in your gut can affect your brain, which can affect your personality and your emotion at a certain time. But it's very true. Like the inflammation of certain foods that you put into your body, they react and they're poisonous to your body. And it increases the level of mental illness that you have. Just look up how gut inflammation affects mental health. Sorry, guys, COVID. A troubled intestine can send signals to the brain, just as a troubled brain can send signals to the gut. Therefore, a person's stomach or intestinal distress can be the cause of the product of anxiety, stress, and depression. That's because the brain and the gastrointestinal. Come on, Harvard. What are you doing? Get away. Systems are intimately connected. This is especially true in cases where a person experiences GI upset with no obvious physical care. For such functional GI disorders, it's difficult to try to heal a distressed gut without considering the role of stress and emotion. Gut health and anxiety. Given how closely the gut and brain interact, it becomes easier to understand why you might feel nauseated before giving a presentation or feel intestinal pain during times of stress. It doesn't mean, however, that functional GI conditions are imagined or all in your head. Psychology combines with physical factors to cause pain and other bowel symptoms. Psychosocial factors influence the actual physiology of the gut as well as symptoms. In other words, stress or depression or other psychological factors can affect movements and contractions of the GI tract. In addition, many people with functional GI disorders perceive pain more acutely than other people do because their brains are more responsive to pain signals from the GI tract. Stress can make the existing pain seem even worse. Based on these observations, you might expect that at least some patients with functional GI conditions might improve with therapy to reduce stress or treat anxiety or depression. Multiple studies have found that psychologically based approaches lead to greater improvements in digestive symptoms compared with only conventional medical treatment. That's from health.harvard.edu. So lower inflammation, higher testosterone, which is something that I've noticed. So I was on carnivore for a solid month, I think in November, pretty much all of November, mid-October to about mid-November. And what I did notice is I did feel stronger and I felt slightly more alert. I felt more alerted most of the time. But I do feel like my testosterone did go up. I felt stronger. Honestly, I felt stronger in the gym. Fewer digestive problems. That's by far the number one thing for me. My bowel movements are consistent. They're not every day. They're like once every 2 or 3 days. But there's no stress about, oh, my stomach's like messed up right now. I need to go use the restroom. It's just it's a normal thing. All right. There's no anxiety about when I have to poop or if I'm going to be near a toilet. And also I can go run for an hour and not have to worry about anything. That's another thing is I do think that the carnivore diet. So I was really worried about carnivore diet affecting my cardio. But within the past month, I have ran 2 half marathons, and I've been running about 8 miles a day every single day. I haven't taken a day off all of December running, which is kind of insane when I think about it. I haven't taken one day off running all of December. But yeah, I haven't taken a day off running all of December, and it's actually been really nice. I haven't had any issues. Like, I feel fine. I feel strong when I'm running. The only thing that might affect me when I run on carnivore is if I don't eat enough, my stomach gets hungry. And when I'm hungry, I have issues running farther distances because I get tired easier. But if I just eat more food, I'll be fine. Another drawback of carnivore is definitely the lack of snack foods makes it hard to ingest a certain amount of calories. So I would say that's another potential side effect is if you're not prepared on the carnivore diet, you will be hungry. You gotta make sure you eat food, and you also have to prepare. Like, you had to prepare on the carnivore diet. It doesn't give you the opportunity to just slack off and grab like a slice of pizza or grab a bag of chips or grab a muffin. You can't do that. You can't eat that. So you have to have food ready. You have to constantly be cooking. It can be a little expensive in that sense, but if you just figure out when you're going to eat, figure out what is in certain foods. That's another thing is Dr. Judy Cho, she's not a doctor, she's a nutritionist. Her name is Judy Cho. She has a book called The Carnivore Cure. I'm trying to get her on the podcast, but she's super busy doing her book tour right now. But she has an amazing Instagram. Let me see if I can pull it up here. She talks a lot about carnivore. So if you go to nutritionwithjudy.com, this is her book, Nutrition with Judy. But she says that 80% fat is a good ratio for carnivore. So about 80-20. About 1 pound of protein, maybe 1.2 pounds, I guess, if you're trying to put on weight or if you're trying to put on muscle or even if you're a guy, but around 1 pound for girls and guys, and then just fill the rest with fat. So that's another issue I think that people can have on carnivore is struggling to get enough calories in because people don't realize that fat has 225% more calories, roughly, I think. No, exactly 225% more calories per gram than carbs and protein. That's what fat has. But also trying to figure out what is a fatty food to eat. I think a lot of people don't really know what is a fatty food. So pork belly, prime rib, fatty meats. I don't like to avoid fatty cuts of beef, pork and lamb, New York strip, ribeye steak, pork belly. Pork belly is good because you can get bacon, which is relatively cheap. Porterhouse steak, T-bone steak, baby back ribs. What are considered fatty meats? Bacon, beef fat, breakfast sausages, hot dogs. Wouldn't eat that. Lamb, pork, processed meat. So that's another issue is trying to find the time to cook and maybe getting enough fat in. But you also eat when you're hungry, which I think is really, really nice. I think it's really nice. And when you eat when you're actually hungry, you get a different appreciation for food rather than if you just eat because it's time to eat. If you eat when you're hungry, it completely changes your relationship with food. And I think a lot of people who struggle with eating disorders or eating trouble eating, like they get too fat, they get too skinny, whatever it is, whatever the disorder they have is, it's not because it's always because of the relationship they have with food. Because they don't eat when they're hungry. They eat for a lot of other reasons. Emotional things, usually the leading cause. Hatred things against themselves, which is obviously an emotional thing. But the thing is with carnivores, you eat when you're hungry. And when you eat, you appreciate what you're eating rather than you just are excited to eat the next meal. So I think that's a really important thing. Increased mental clarity, obviously that's I think that's pretty self-explanatory. For me, by eating a keto, paleo, a carnivore diet, I feel so much more focused. I think that has a lot to do with like blood pressure, insulin spiking. And also, there's just a part of my brain that's not worried about my next meal. It's already ready. I already know what I'm going to eat. So I can just focus on the task. Also, I'm probably losing weight, so I feel more, I feel like I'm doing something with my life. Like I'm accomplishing something, which makes me feel more pride in what I'm doing, which makes me work harder in what I'm doing. Um, I'm sure there's a lot of other benefits like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like neuro, neuro, neurotropic factors that come into play when you eat carnivore. I'm sure like certain chemicals get released that actually help you focus better. Simpler dieting, super easy. You know what to eat. Meat. If it's not meat, don't eat it. I put an asterisk against that. I eat butter. And fasting makes it a lot easier. So that's my whole spiel on carnivore diet. It's something that I recommend, and I know I talk about a lot on the podcast, but I think it's my podcast, so I'm going to talk about it. Second of all, it's what I'm doing. And third of all, I know it can help a lot of people, and I also think a lot of people are interested in it. I have a decent amount of people ask me about it, like how's it going? What are you doing for it? Just random questions like that. So assuming that they don't listen to the podcast, or if they do listen to the podcast, I want a place where people can just listen to my opinion on it, because I think it could be very revolutionary for a lot of people if you just give it a go. Obviously, check with your doctor, check with professionals before you get into it. Even though I think doctors, I'm not going to say that because I'm not an expert at all. But especially in a time like now with COVID, the most important thing you can do for yourself is to make sure you're healthy. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure you're exercising. I know it's hard because a lot of gyms are shut down, but you still have to do something, man. I think it's the best way to, I think it's the best way to keep the virus at bay. Not that you won't get it, but that if you do get it, it will be easier for you to fight against it. But that's just my personal opinion on that. What's going on in the world? Do I have any notes here I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, I do want to bring up a few things. So I think last Friday, this is just like my hot take on Robinhood, the trading app. Last Friday, I think it was. Yeah, today's the 22nd. You guys listening to this? So like the 18th or 19th, Robinhood, which is a trading app, and this app is obviously it's directed towards. This is just my opinion on it. It's directed towards kids my age. So I would say between 18 to 35. It's definitely developed for kids and younger adults to about 35 years old, 18 to 35 years old. And it's developed for, and so I also put the link to my Robinhood get a free app or get a free stock in the link in my description of all of my YouTube podcasts. So if you guys want to click that, you can get a free podcast. I'll get a free podcast. You would get a free stock. I would get a free stock, and that would be awesome. But Robinhood went ahead and they've been getting processed by the SEC for a decent amount of time now. I would say close to 6 months since I first heard about it. And basically what they were trying to do is that SEC was saying that Robinhood was inappropriately targeting a group of the population, and they weren't the way that they were marketing to these people were leading these individuals to making poor financial decisions without having the ability to know what they were doing. Now, I first saw that. I think Robinhood paid out like $65 million. So that's nothing, especially for a company that's going to IPO in 2021. And it just made me think. It was fascinating because it's an app for trading, for stock trading, for ETF trading, for whatever. It's a financial app. And there's been a push in this world, this country especially, to allow younger kids, younger adults to learn about financial literacy and to put the power back in their hand. I mean, that's what Venmo is, that's what Cash App is, that's what these apps are. They're designed to allow young adults to have the ability to make financial decisions without having so many obstacles to go through, like banks or loan or credit unions or whatever it is. And I don't think it was fair for the SEC to say that Robinhood is leading kids to make bad financial decisions. First off, I think the people who run some of the biggest portfolios in the entire world, the Blackstones, the Berkshire Hathaway, the Ray Dalio, I think he's Blackstone, but just some of these huge investment firms that put billions of dollars into these mutual funds, into these ETFs, into these single companies. It would be so inappropriate for me to say that they never made bad decisions as a young investor. They never lost thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of dollars, even 10, 20, 30, 40, $50. I'm sure they did. And I'm sure they did it at a young age. And I'm sure they learned from those mistakes that they made, therefore didn't make them again, or at least tried their hardest to reduce the possibility, taking all the measures it took to reduce the possibility of those incidents happening. I think the same thing can be said for Robinhood traders. I know for me, there's been a few times where I bought and sold things way too quickly. I bought Pinterest. I bought Square. I bought Best Buy. No, not Best Buy. I bought Dick's Sporting Goods. I bought did I say Square already? Yeah. So there's just those three right there: Pinterest, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Square. I bought all those back in June, and I sold them probably not even. I didn't hold them for longer than 3 or 4 weeks. For a few reasons. One, I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't really have a basis to hold them. I thought they would do well, but I got nervous once they didn't do well, and I sold them immediately. Just like I think everybody makes a common mistake, and I think everybody, but not everyone talks about it, so that's why I'm talking about it here. Excuse me. But Robinhood wasn't the reason why I did that. Now, the colors are green, they're red, there's arrows, when the arrows go up when you make money, there's arrows go down when you lose money. I understand the aesthetics could lead to certain people making impulse decisions. I still think that blame should not be placed on the app. It should be placed on the user. That's just my opinion. Because you could use Fidelity, and they could still make the same. They could just Charles Schwab or whatever it is. Webbull. I'm sure Webbull probably has the same thing, but these companies don't get blamed if someone loses millions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. I didn't blame Robinhood when I lost out on Square when I bought it for like sub 150 back in June or whatever it was. It was really damn low, and I've lost out on thousands of dollars. I don't blame Robinhood. I blame myself for that, right? Just like I have a holding right now in a company that I think they just got one of the first FDA approved breast cancer medications passed through the FDA, and I think they have a partnership with Johnson & Johnson. I think they have the potential to be a huge holding for me, and I think they have the potential to make me a crap ton of money. So I bought a butt ton of stock in it. If they crash, if they don't do well, I'm not going to blame Robinhood for it, right? Because I made the decision to buy them, And if the red arrow keeps on pointing down and then I sell it, I can't blame Robinhood for that. I have to, basically what I'm saying is I don't like that large investment firms treat Robinhood like, first of all, the people don't know what they're doing, because I think the idea of saying that you know what you're doing at all in the market is crazy, because the market doesn't listen to you. It has a mind of its own. And I think it's disrespectful, and I think it's bullying, and I think it's wrong. And I think if you F up on Robinhood, you need to take the responsibility into your own hands, which I think a lot of traders do. And if you're going to be a day trader, you're going to mess up. You're going to lose 90% of the time. But if you win that 10% of the time, it's going to be a big win for you. I don't care if you do that on Fidelity. I don't care if you do that on Schwab. I don't care if you do it on Webull. I don't care where you do it. If you mess up, it's on you. It's not on the platform. That's my whole spiel about that. But link in the bio link in the description if you guys want to check that out. But off to better, bigger, and better things, man. Off to bigger and better things. Moderna has released its vaccine, and it's been FDA regulated in the United States. I know a lot of like crazy stuff has been happening in like the UK. Looks like there's like a new strain of coronavirus. It doesn't seem like people are as worried as I thought they would be, which I think is a good thing. To me, that seems like a good thing. The vaccines are coming out, and I saw a study that like 40% of people aren't going to get the vaccine. Now, this is troublesome. I was talking to Taylor about this. This is troublesome. You know, where we live in this world where everybody has the tools to be the smartest person at any given time, right? Like you don't have to search for answers anymore. Relatively, like if you want to know the capital of Missouri, you can look it up on your phone. You know, there isn't that you may not know for like a day or two, or you're gonna have to wait. Like, you remember when you're like, I remember when I was younger, if I didn't know something and someone told me something on the bus, I would have to wait all the way till I got home to ask my dad to get the answer. You know, so like critical thinking doesn't happen anymore. And I think this has led to, from the use of social media also, which has, I don't think they hacked our monkey brains, but we are monkeys, and we have taken what social media is and we've turned it to what we are, which I think is a fascinating way to look at social media. Especially it's different than what, because a lot of people think social media is evil. I wouldn't say social media is evil. I would say social media just is a platform that monkeys use. Us, when I say monkeys, I mean humans, and we use it in the bad way because that's how we're biologically hardwired in that way. Anyways, so science has been twisted up in such a weird way during coronavirus. It's crazy to think that we're sitting here December 22nd, 2020, and people are still saying that coronavirus is not real. We have people who are saying that the vaccine is extremely dangerous. We have people saying that the vaccine doesn't do anything. There's people saying that the vaccine will it's used as like mind control. We have people who are saying coronavirus isn't deadly at all. We have people who are saying that it doesn't spread. Like I said, there's also people who say that it's just not a real thing. But the same people also, there are certain times in their life where they use coronavirus as a excuse not to do something they don't want to do. Coronavirus is as real as a virus can be. It's going to spread. It's going to mutate. It's going to look for a host. And it's going to do it without caring about what you think. It's going to kill people. It's going to kill a lot of people. It's going to kill a lot of old people. Shocker. That's what diseases do. And if you're a weaker person, you die before other people. That's why old people are dying, because they're weaker individuals. They have weaker immune systems. If you're a young person and you're not in good shape, you're probably going to die too. And it's going to mess you up. And we don't know long-term effects of it. We have these two beautiful vaccines. And I say that in a very honest way. This is what I think is so amazing about capitalism, is that these vaccines, and I'm going to get pushback for this, but these vaccines were quickly developed because of capitalism, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. I think because there's a huge possibility to make a shit ton of money if you develop the vaccine that will save humanity. You're going to make a lot of money. And you're going to make a lot of money immediately, and you're also going to make a lot of money in the future. And you're also going to go down the history books as Pfizer and Moderna are the companies that saved a lot of people. Not humanity, but a lot of people. And I think that's kind of where capitalism doesn't get respect. Because of it, we have these things. You don't see the vaccines being developed in Switzerland and China. Well, that's a different story. Russia, also a different story. Some would say dictatorship. Some would say communist in those countries where you have to do it or you die. But you see these vaccines getting developed, the best vaccines in countries that are capitalistic, because if there's clearly a demand for it, people are dying by the thousands. People are getting it by the thousands. People are struggling with long-term effects by the thousands. But there's no supply, so there has to be a supply. The supply meets the demand. Supply gets a lot of money. The demand is happy, right? But you can't choose when and when you don't want coronavirus to be real. There was something on like the Wall Street Journal, some front of some magazine, that there was a study, and studies, whatever. I don't know studies. I don't know what the study was studying because I wasn't studying, so I don't know who they were studying. Usually like a focus group, but even the people who take focus groups, they seem like unique individuals, and I say that in a very, like, I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just you would probably never see me in a focus group unless I got paid for it. Otherwise, you would probably never see me in a focus group. But like 40% of people won't be taking the vaccine. And I get it. I guess I understand because because this virus has been very politicized, but it's a virus. The same way that the measles killed a lot of people and still continues to kill a lot of people. Tuberculosis, measles, these things don't exist anymore because of vaccines. People have to take this vaccine seriously. I'm going to take the vaccine. I will put it into my body. I don't care. I want to show people that you have to take the proper steps if you want a world to be the way it was before. The reason why it's not is because people are refusing to listen to what the science says. And I've reluctantly have said things going the other way where I shit on it. I've made jokes and they were just jokes and I don't take them back because they're jokes and they're funny and I laughed at the time. But we have to appreciate what this virus is. We have to appreciate the people on the front lines working with it every single day. My girlfriend, she works with it every single day. There's a lot of people that work with it every single day. There's people losing loved ones. I know people who've lost loved ones. There's people who are in comas. There's people who have long-term effects from it. I personally don't think I could be that person. I'm a young, healthy individual. I work out, I run, I exercise, I eat right. I probably won't be that percent. My girlfriend probably won't be that percent. My mom could be that percent. My dad could be the percent. Your best friend could be the percent. And I think it's in humanity's best interest to appreciate the people working day in and day out every single day, every single night, every single morning, extra hours that you couldn't even imagine. And I know this is what they signed up for, but there's a level of empathy that I think has to appear sometime or another. And I think it's right now that it has to appear. And I think people have to start listening to these rules because yes, businesses will continue to go out of business. And I think that's a different talking point. But where you can reduce the spread of COVID, you have to reduce the spread of COVID. I think restaurants should stay open. I do think that you should wear a mask when you go in there, but when you sit down, you can take it off. And I think people will get COVID that way, but doing things that you don't need to do, like I would even argue you don't need to go to restaurants. Plus, you could save money that way too. But things you don't need to do, we should not do. And I don't know why it's so hard to tell people what they can and can't do, because in this country we have this, we have freedom, right, which is beautiful, but we have this also this feeling that freedom is our inherited right, but it's not your inherited right. People fight hard to keep that around. People work very hard to keep that around. There's doctors and nurses working really hard to keep you alive. And I think the thing that we could do that takes no effort, that takes no extra work, is to just follow the rules when the rules present themselves. Take the vaccine. I'm going to take the vaccine. I don't care. I'm going to take the vaccine. I'm going to put the needle in my arm. I want to get Moderna because I don't want to go back twice. So I think whenever my time comes, I will be there taking the vaccine. This will probably be like March, hopefully early March, maybe, hopefully not later than that, but I will be there. I will be taking the vaccine, and I think people should be taking the vaccine. But also, who am I to tell you what to do? Do what you want to do, but I think there's a possibility right now that could change the whole outlook of the future. And if we just listen to what the experts say, I know, Michael, we shouldn't listen to experts. Experts are paid off. There's so much sketchy shit. I know, conspiracy theorists. Yeah, I know, I get it. Cool, fine, awesome. That's excellent. But I'm sure you know somebody who's died of it. Think about the people in your life who've had it. Do you want them to suffer? Do you want them to get it again? I don't know. I should shut up. This isn't my role to speak upon, so I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I just think it's important. That's all. I just think it's important. Whoa. Scientists pinpoint genes common among people with severe coronavirus infections. Physics. Spin in unpolarized. Nope. Evidence of modified gravity strengthens dark matter alternative. Whoa. NASA scientists achieved long-distance quantum teleportation that could pave way for quantum internet. I don't care about all that. Researchers achieved first sustained long-distance quantitative. This is cool as shit. Let's see what's going on. You know what? Since we're on the COVID thing, let's just stay on the COVID thing. This is really cool. I want to read this article. And I hope people don't get upset with me. I think it's really important for people to just. This is a lot of reading. I don't know if I want to do all this. I think it's just really important. If you have the ability to reduce the spread of the virus, you should do that. You should take it, and it should be your responsibility. Certain gene variants are linked to severe coronavirus infections, according to a team of scientists in Europe who studied the genomes of 2,200 critically ill COVID-19 patients. The results provide robust support that genetic makeup plays a role in the potentiality fatal illness experienced by some people infected by the coronavirus. Diving into people's DNA is an approach that could help answer one of the pandemic's biggest mysteries. Why do some people have mild coronavirus cases or no symptoms at all, while others rapidly fall ill or die? Evidence is clear that older age and underlying conditions are risk factors for increased coronavirus severity, but genetic predispositions to runaway inflammation or other harmful immune responses could contribute to worse diseases. I don't know if I can read that without. Okay, here we go. That study found the new report is the biggest published data of this kind. He is a co-author of a paper published earlier this year in New England Journal of Medicine, which used the same scientific process to identify gene variants associated with severe COVID-19. That study found people with blood type A were at a higher risk of severe infections, while having blood type O was somewhat associated with a protective effect. It's fascinating. So blood type does have an impact on it, which I think that's kind of I think people knew that already from the beginning. But yeah, I'm gonna get off this spiel. I don't think that's what people want to hear from me, but also I don't think people want to hear anything from me when it comes to talking about the podcast. Politicians, Russian opposition leader. That was crazy. We all know that. Joe Rogan warns Jake Paul that Dylan Dennis is top of the food chain. Stimulus package was passed. They're giving us $600, which I think is legit, but a lot of people are pissed that it's not more. I get it. I understand. I think what's going on is that people. I think both sides kind of gave in to each other. I think the Democrats kind of gave in to the Republicans because they're very confident that Georgia is going to take the lead or the Senate is gonna go blue. Which, look, I don't know my political party anymore. I think I'm very I want to help the most amount of people possible. I believe in freedom. I believe in gun rights. I guess I'm financially very conservative. But I also want to help as many people as possible. And I think if I also I also am a big proponent of marijuana, and I'm a big proponent of marijuana stocks because there's a lot of money in it, which is also the biggest issue with everything is that people follow the money. But I think what's going to happen is this as of Tuesday, you guys are watching this, the bill has passed $900 billion. The same people who got $1,200 are going to get $600, which I know isn't that much money, but the biggest thing is that there's a $300 extension to unemployment, which is huge. PPP, or PPE, yeah, PPP is payroll protection program. PPE is protective personal protective equipment. But I think they're assuming that Georgia's going to win the Senate and it's going to be blue. And then they're probably going to pass a $1.5 trillion stimulus package again in March. And I'm assuming that's when people are going to get their $1,200 checks if they do more checks. But I'm pretty sure they will do more checks. So there's a possibility that the average American person makes $3,000 off the government in 2020. And I know a lot of people are losing their jobs, and I know that's not like something we should be super, super proud of, but I do think it's pretty crazy that during a lockdown we're still getting money from the government. And if you don't have a job and you're on unemployment, you're making more money than you've ever made before in your life. Save that money. I know the whole point of a stimulus check is to put it back into the economy to stimulate it, but I think you should invest it, save it, be smart with it because you don't know what the future holds. But that's it, guys. Next episode will be a Christmas special. By that, I mean I'm just going to dress up as Santa Claus. And by that, I mean just a Santa hat. Nothing more than that. But this is episode 150 of the Michael App Show. It's pretty crazy. I think we're going on almost 2 years now. Maybe not, a year and a half. But, yeah. It's a wild ride. I had a beautiful conversation with one of my buddies. I don't want to say his name, but one of my buddies. And I'm planning to go to his place, and we're going to have a beautiful conversation about just the world that we currently live in. We're going to have I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sensitive topics on race, a lot of sensitive topics on politicians, politics, the world that we live in, coronavirus, a lot of things that I think people are never going to come to agreement upon because they're not aware of these certain things that we're going to speak about. These different perspectives that certain people have in this world that I don't have, that he doesn't have. But yeah, we're going to get together. We're going to have a beautiful conversation. January is going to be a huge year. I'm going to be having a huge guest coming on the podcast. I'm super excited to listen to him talk to me. It's going to be on Zoom, just so you are aware, because he can't come over to my house and he's an older gentleman. I don't want to put him at risk of coronavirus. But that's it, guys, on episode 150 of the show with me, Michael Labs. I'll catch you guys in episode 151. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe. Leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. Follow and subscribe on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. Thank you guys so much for listening. Peace out. See you.